See, we still have some people rolling in. We will get started right at the top of the hour in about 2 minutes. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. If you haven't already, feel free to put in the chat your name and where you're joining us from. My name's Katie Moss. I'm FLA's Director of Stewardship Initiatives and Regulatory Affairs. And I am calling in from Northeast Mississippi, a little town called Van Vliet, about 30 minutes outside of Tupelo. So really excited to have y'all here today to tell y'all a little bit more about FLA's Longleaf cost share program. So the purpose of today's webinar is really just to go through the basics of our cost share program and also answer some frequently asked questions, but then give y'all a chance to ask any additional questions that you may have. So as we're going through, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A box. You will be muted through this webinar, so that's going to be the best way to ask questions. Also, just so everybody knows, this webinar is being recorded so that we can share it around to all of the registries afterwards, and then we'll also be uploading it to our Longleaf webpage. So to get things started, just wanted to give y'all a brief history of FLA's Longleaf program. So since 2017, we have FLA has received funding from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation's Longleaf Landscape Stewardship Fund to be able to carry out this cost share program. Throughout this process, NFWF has been a really great partner. And every year, our funding has grown to just accommodate the increased interest in longleaf restoration for private forest landowners. So we're really thankful for that and looking forward to another great year of the program. And then to date, FLA has assisted landowners with over 8,000 acres of management and over 7,000 acres of planting. So a little bit about our current cost share cycle. Applications are open for our current cost share cycle, and those cost share dollars can cover projects leading up to and taking place during the 2024-2025 planting season this winter. We're providing cost share at $50 per acre to assist with site preparation and planting, and $15 per acre to assist with management of existing longleaf pine stands. We have funding available this cycle to assist private landowners with 2,500 acres of planting and 2,500 acres of management total. Every year, the applications that we receive for cost share do outpace our supply of funding, so the application process can get pretty competitive. And so that's why it's important that all landowners that are applying are checking the qualifications before they apply, and also some of the additional considerations, which we'll cover in just a moment. So the basic qualifications, first of all planting and management activities must occur between April 2024 and March 2025. So any burning or other treatments that you're doing right now on existing longleaf stands, you can apply for cost share for those acres. And then any site preparation or planting that you're planning on doing this fall or winter, you can apply for cost share for those acres as well. Also, all activities must take place in the historic Longleaf Range. I don't have a map in this presentation, but on our on FLA's Longleaf program webpage, we do have a map that shows where the historic Longleaf Pine Range is, and does have that based on county. So that should be helpful. But of course, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to contact me about that. The other qualification is that photos of planting or management activities must be submitted to FLA in order to process any cost share payments. It's also really great. We appreciate if you can send before and after photos of the sites, just so that we can just show the progress of your project through those photos. And then applications must be submitted by May 10th. So some additional considerations that we look at during the application process, and all of these questions are asked on the application. They're not requirements, but just may help give you a competitive edge in the application process. Is this planting project taking place? Is it a new stand on agriculture or pasture land? So basically, is it an afforestation project? Does your project provide habitat connectivity? So does your project connect with other existing longleaf stands, either on private or public land? Is there a presence of at-risk or listed longleaf dependent species or other wildlife benefits? For example, do you have known populations of RCW, gopher tortoise, or other sensitive species, or is this project intended to make habitat specifically for wildlife benefits? And just so everyone knows, we do not share any information about species on your property outside of the organization. Does your project provide any community or social benefits? So, for example, do you host any workshops or educational events on your property? Do you engage with your local community through the property, or any conservation partners, or your state or local forestry associations on the property, anything like that? Are you implementing any other beneficial practices? For example, are you planting native understory species like wiregrasses, or any pollinator plots, anything like that? Anything that could be considered an additional benefit outside of just planting or managing your longleaf pine? Are you converting another type of pine stand like loblolly to longleaf? Are you reforesting after a natural disaster impacted the property? And lastly, we do look at FLA membership. We do give priority to FLA members, just because we know that our members have a long-term investment in their property, and that they'll be managing their property accordingly. And we know that we can, call our members up, or send them an email for photos or progress on the site. So before we get into the Q&A section, I did want to touch on some frequently asked questions. So first of all, are there acreage minimums or acreage caps? There are no acreage minimums or caps to be able to apply for this project. You can have a 10-acre project, you can have a 500-acre project, a 1,000-acre project. We encourage anyone and everyone to apply, regardless of acreage. We also do not have any AGI limits on this program, anything like that. Are there government forms involved? We know that the process for some of the USDA programs and some of the other cost share programs that are out there, the paperwork can be a little bit cumbersome. So we've tried to streamline that process. We have a 3-page application, which seems a little long, but really that's just to give y'all space to fill in your answers. So we think that it's a pretty simple, straightforward application. Another question that we get is, what qualifies as management of existing longleaf pine stands? So right now, what we have in the grant management includes prescribed burning, thinning, herbicide treatment, and invasive species removal, as well as planting native understory species. But priority will be given specifically to prescribed burning projects. However, we do encourage people to, apply for cost share funding for any of those practices that are listed. Another question that we get a lot is, if I'm participating in another government or cost share program, can I still apply for funding? We know that $50 per acre for planting and $15 per acre for management does not even begin to cover the costs of those practices. So yes, you can be enrolled in this program if you're enrolled in a USDA or another cost share program. So long as the other program that you're enrolled in is not covering 100% of the costs that are associated with the acreage that you're applying for our program. Who sees this information? So FLA is the only entity that will see your full application. We do send annual reports to NIFWIF, but we remove all landowner identifying information. So we share with NIFWIF the state, the county or parish where the project is taking place, and the acreage. We remove names, we remove the addresses on your application. We also, excuse me, share photos with NIFWIF, but we do not connect those photos with any landowners as well. And then when will I know if my application was accepted? So like I said before, the application process closes May 10th. We will begin reviewing the applications right away at that point. And may reach out with any questions. If we're looking at your application and we have any questions, we may reach out at that point, but we should be notifying cost share recipients by early June. With that, I know I went through that pretty quickly, but does anybody have any additional questions about our Longleaf cost share program? Now I'll go through the chat. Not seeing anything so far.
Hey, Katie, I have a
Yes.
question for you.
Yes.
Can you tell us roundabout how many acres we have helped plant and manage over the past, where we at, 6, 7 years?
Yes, yes. So we have assisted with over 8,000 acres of management and over 7,000 acres of planting since we started the cost share program back in 2017.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, I'll maybe give another minute for any questions, but my my contact information, my email address is listed here. So feel free to reach out with any questions that you may think of later or as you're going through the application process. And also, we do have a Longleaf webpage that covers some of the basics of our cost share program, as well as some additional information and resources. You can go to forestlandowners.com and in the search bar, just type in Longleaf and it should be the first result that pops up.
I just want to add, I also threw that link in the chat if you just want to copy paste it for later.
Excellent. Thanks, Michelle. Can landowners still receive funding if the site prep process began before approval? So as long as the practices that you're implementing take place between April 2024, so right now, and March of 2025, those practices can potentially be covered. So any work that you're doing right now, any burning, herbicide application, anything like that, you can still apply for cost share on those acres. Now we will not, we won't review those applications until May and get back to you in early June, but definitely we can potentially cover those practices. And I encourage anyone, if you are conducting management right now and you're applying for cost share, feel free when you send in your application or at any point in the meantime before applications are approved, feel free to go ahead and send in photos. Let's see. Are there acreage limits on management assistance? No, there are not acreage limits on management assistance. However, as we're going through the process, depending on how many applications we receive and how big some of those acreages are, we may cut down on what we are able to fund, but we could potentially partially fund a project. So for example, if you submit an application for 1,000 acres of management, we may come back and say, hey, we'd love to provide some funding. We can't cover all of it, but we can cover 500 acres or 700 acres. So definitely, just because it's a large project, don't think that you cannot apply for cost share. Let's see. Can we call you? Yes, absolutely. If you will shoot me an email, I will definitely email you back with my contact information and you can give me a call. Let's see. Made an application a couple of weeks ago. I received confirmation that it was received and in good order. Yes, Gregory, if we have not gotten back to you already, I will get back to you as soon as possible. And I'll go through my inbox, and if I have not received your application, I'll be sure to reach out. Let's see. Currently have a loblolly plantation, but plan to move to Longleaf. Can you apply for the program now or wait until a major cutting? Let's see. So as long as any of that conversion work is taking place between April 2024 and March 2025, you can certainly apply for funding now. But if you're not going to be doing most of that conversion work within that time frame, I definitely encourage you to apply for the next round of cost share. We do have confirmed funding for this upcoming planting season, as well as the next 2 planting seasons. Now we won't open those applications until around this time next year, but definitely keep that in mind as you're moving forward with projects that we do have dedicated funding for this cost share program for the next 2 years. Let's see here. So what I'm hearing is there are no downsides of your cost share. We like to think so. We try to make this process pretty easy to apply. No real strings attached. We just require photos to send those cost share payments out, but we don't require maps or shape files or anything like that. We don't share your information. Definitely if you ever want to send any maps or anything like that, we will not turn them down, but that's not a requirement. Let's see. Total amount that we're awarding this cycle. So this cycle, we do have funding available for 2,500 acres of management and 2,500 acres of planting. And every year, the demand for cost share does typically outpace the supply of funding that we have. So definitely encourage you to be as detailed as possible on your application for that competitive edge. Michelle, are there any other questions that I missed? I've tried to go through.
One that I think you missed was just listing the acceptable management practices one more time.
Yes. So the acceptable management practices that we have covered right now is prescribed burning, thinning, herbicide application and invasive species removal, and understory planting of native species, but priority will be given to prescribed burning projects.
I didn't see anything else. Great conversation, everyone.
Absolutely. And if you have submitted an application and you haven't heard back from me yet, we were doing a lot of traveling last week in Louisiana, so I still have a few unread messages sitting in my inbox. But definitely, if you don't hear back from me by the end of the day, it may be that I have not received your application. So definitely email me again, and I will get back to you as soon as possible.
One more question, Katie. Um,
Yes.
as far as where they get these seedlings, is there any preference or suggestions we have as far as where they obtain the longleaf seedlings?
No, we do not. You know, any nursery that y'all are working with is great. Let's see. I see. How about helping with mowing of 3-year-old small things such as oaks if burning is not possible? So mowing is not currently one of the approved practices, but that is definitely something that we can talk with our funders about, and add into future cost share cycles. Let's see. Oh, in the Q&A section, are previous awardees excluded from awards? Absolutely not. If you have applied for cost share before and have received cost share before, certainly feel free to apply again. We love seeing long-term management and long-term planting projects. So yes, please feel free. And then are all practices reimbursed at $15 per acre? Yes, at this time, right now, all practices are $15 per acre. Like I said, we know that that does not begin to cover the many expenses that come with preparing these sites. And I know that the same site can receive multiple different management practices, herbicide application, a burn, but yes, right now it is $15 per acre if you're doing all of those practices on the same acreage. Okay. That looks like all of the questions that we have for now. But definitely feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions. And if you have not, again, if you have sent in an application and have not heard back from me, ping me again, and I will get to your email as soon as possible. Okay. Excellent. Well, if there's no more questions, thank y'all for your time today, and reach out if you think of some other questions during the application process. Happy to answer them. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day.